Hello, and welcome to Moscato and Tea. This is the show for all things beauty, business, and community with your hosts, Inez and Chiquita, keeping it raw, real, and unfiltered.
But you see, Taylor's now is talking about getting people, like the difference now and how Taylor Swift is more about voting and getting people out there.
Well, she came out of nowhere with that, to be completely honest, because who thought she was political at all?
Yeah.
Right.
She
never said shit.
She has never said anything, and she's been like, she's like the top 5. She has like the top 5 followers on Instagram, and all of a sudden she comes out like, vote for your Democrats.
Yeah.
It's a little, it looks a little charged, to be honest.
Did y'all see her at the AMAs? Did y'all see anybody?
I didn't watch the AMAs.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie.
I didn't see it.
I'm
so sorry.
Yeah.
Award shows are rigged.
Yeah.
They're all rigged.
Well, I love
I'm
Cardi's
not big on
performance.
celebrity.
Oh, yeah.
Cardi did good.
I don't even know an award show to tell me what was album of the year. I have my own opinion as to what album or artist of the year
Okay.
is.
What do you
know
think
what I mean?
was artist and album? Who do you think?
This
Grammys
is
are
from from this year?
2018. Yeah.
Man, I'm gonna tell you right now, I am a Drake stan. So,
2018,
Scorpion.
Yeah.
this.
I like Scorpion.
It wasn't
It's a
like
great
first
album.
half of last year.
It's a great album.
Yeah.
I could talk
It's
about music
okay.
all day.
Yeah.
First half is great.
So that means the entire album
what was
is
your
okay.
question?
Yeah. What do you think as far as music artists that came out this year or album? What was the best for you?
I got Drake Scorpion in there. I got Pusha T's album in there. I got who else has come out? I actually like Kanye and Kid Cudi's album. But not because of Kanye, because of Kid Cudi. I thought he was going to be the worst part of the album because he hasn't come out with good music to me in a while. But Kid Cudi killed his performances. So like that album, those are probably like, I got 2 more, but I can't really think off top right now.
Okay.
But what were your thoughts on music this year?
I would have to say
Don't say Beyonce, Shakita.
no.
I didn't like that album. It was so sad.
Yeah, no, I wasn't
The
a
Carters?
big fan.
I wasn't a fan
I wasn't
of
a
it.
big fan of that. I will admit on that. But I think musically lately I've been more into I was on the bad wagon, but what's her name? LMA.
Oh yeah.
So I like her. Yeah. So I've been into her lately. So I love her music so far. You know.
Well, Chiquita already knows.
I'm gonna say this on the record. I don't like Eminem. How about that?
Oh my god.
Eminem's album was
care about his
pretty
Kamikaze
weak.
album.
I like Buddy. Buddy had a good album. I don't know if anyone listens to Buddy.
Oh, Travis Scott.
Travis Scott.
Oh,
It
and
was
that
the
beef.
Astro World, right?
Yep, that's
Astro
top 5
World.
for sure.
That was a pretty good album. Pusha T.
Okay.
Don't scroll
J
past
and
Drake
J
like
Rock.
that.
No, J.
Lil Wayne's album.
Oh yeah, Lil Wayne. Yeah.
I'm into it.
Yeah.
Very into it. Very into it. I know there's a lot of like opinions about it.
Yeah.
But the R&B vibes I'm
It's
into.
a lot of 2010 vibe.
It is. No, it is. But I've
Dated references.
a lot of the current melodies of music right now I'm not into. A lot of this trap house shit. It's not my favorite, and I feel like a
same
lot of the
shit.
songs
Are the same.
sound the same.
Yes.
And I'm like, I'm ready for something new, you know.
Yeah.
And I'm very much into R&B, so I was really happy that Lil Wayne gave me that.
I was more so happy to see Lil Wayne come back.
Yeah.
Well, he was in
know,
that
I'm always
contract.
into
He
the
was
live
in that.
music.
that
You know,
little
you go
battle.
into
Yeah,
my
I know
Yeah.
what happened. Yeah.
What is it,
But
Cash
felt
Money?
better to see him actually put music out again because we were all
Yeah.
like Lil Wayne fans at some point, you know, over his years.
definitely.
So to see him drop music again as a fan, it made me happy. I'm like, damn, that's dope. But the album is whatever. It's better than I thought it was going to be.
Yeah.
But you know, it would never be what it was because
He
it was going
was.
to be what they were.
So he doesn't write down his music,
He needs to write
which
it
is
down.
the craziest thing. He just goes into the booth, whatever
And
comes
spits.
out, and that's the song. That's
That's
it.
the problem.
Yeah.
I was like, that's a talent for sure.
They said Pac did the same thing.
Yeah.
Did he?
Yeah.
He
And afterwards he would
did.
write.
He would. I mean, like with the, like musically, now you're talking about that. What about this whole like Nicki Minaj and Cardi
B throwing the
So-
shoe and that giant fucking bump on her
Her
head.
head.
Yeah, she got knocked the fuck out. Clearly, and it wasn't
Got
even
like
by
a security
Nicki.
elbow or something.
And
Oh my god.
she, I mean, that was a great moment in history. You know
Oh
what
my
I mean? They looked great. It was the what party was it?
It was the
Magazine.
Magazine. Yeah.
Harper's Bazaar.
Yes.
And she got knocked the fuck out. Poor thing. I mean, at this point, if you're a Cardi B and somebody is talking shit about your parenting skills, why do you care? Is my point. Like, you should. It doesn't matter anymore. And I know like there's a big thing, especially like on reality TV. It's like, don't talk about the kids. Well, if you're on the show you're up for discussion. You
Yeah,
and your whole life.
absolutely.
And it's like, and if someone talks about your kids, why do you even care? If you know that your kids are fine and taken care of, what does a comment matter to you anyway? So it's like, why are you going to get up and take your shoe off, chuck it across the room? Like, again, and then these celebrities and these artists that come up in the game, like, for example, Cardi B was a stripper.
Yeah.
Now look at her now. And it's like, you need to move
Past
out of
where
that
you
hood
were.
mentality
Right.
and graduate to where now you're on a platform, you're established. Understand that. Don't destroy it by doing some dumb shit like this
yeah.
at a party. And Nicki Minaj on her podcast went off and she was like, the look of the faces around me, of these established, high esteemed people, the faces that they were giving me, they were like in shock. And it's like, yeah, because you need to elevate along with your brand. The higher you go up the ladder. Is that not fair?
It's just a matter of ego, but she's
It's
not
ego,
looking
but
at it from
it's
that
like you're going to
perspective.
destroy everything that you created because
I mean,
of
I
You don't think
like-
that is
one
her
thing.
brand?
Yeah, you took the words out of my mouth. I was gonna say, first of all, she doesn't she was a stripper. That is her brand. Like, if you see her, follow her on Instagram. She says whatever she wants to say. She speaks whatever she wants to do. People like her or love her for that reason. So, I mean, at the end of the day, I'm not surprised.
I don't think anyone was like, Cardi B threw a shoe?
Yeah.
Well, nobody
I
was
don't-
surprised.
And she was on Love and Hip Hop too. That's what
Yeah,
She
that
was
that
on
was
Love and
I
another
Hip
want
Hop.
thing.
more for her.
Yeah, that
I
she
do
But
can't.
that's what I mean. It's like you gotta, and there are so many people and rappers
you're saying
and
is
basketball
right.
players.
Yeah, no,
Right, right,
absolutely.
right.
She has to, but at the end of the day, it's not surprising. She's still young. She's still new to this.
26 as of yesterday.
She's
Yeah.
still
Not that young.
yeah. She's still new to the game.
Yeah.
She coming from a whole different kind of. I mean, at the end of the day, I just wish as women, especially in the rap game, especially it's a very, very small community. Do a little more embracing and grab each other
that.
and put each
Yeah.
other under the wing and say, okay, let me help you. There is plenty of room for everybody. I don't understand
Yeah.
what the problem is with that. I get it. A little competition is always good.
Right.
A little competition make you step your game up. But I just, like always, it's always like, here we go. Black women, Latino
I
women,
think-
Women,
we
period,
can't, women
yeah.
in period. Girl, was she on her period that day?
I think
Was she,
Yeah.
but it's
men
just
say
one of
that women
those.
get mad.
Yeah.
what kills me the
said
most,
what?
and this applies to
Toxic male men.
men and women, it kills me about successful people, especially in the minority communities like ours. When you see these rappers, these lyricists, these artists, these actresses, these football players, basketball players, defy the odds, right? Now you're respected, you're at the top of your game, but then you do really stupid shit. And sometimes those stupid things destroy your career. And what you should be doing is just letting all that go and move forward. And the biggest example of this, I think, is Aaron Hernandez.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
He had like a $40 million contract,
Yeah.
Yeah.
went and killed somebody.
Yeah.
Now
Yeah.
you're in jail, and now he hung himself and he's dead. And I'm like,
Right.
you have to let that go. And then you see Extension, what happened,
Yeah.
that was incredibly sad, but there was some shit going on there. And you have, the list gets longer and longer, and it's like, you should really get out. I thought your goal was to get out of those situations.
Right.
Why stay in them if you're not forced
because
to
I
stay in
think
them, then get
sometime-
out.
But sometimes people don't know
How?
how.
I was gonna
Right.
say,
Yeah.
I think it's more of a not knowing how, or you're bringing up, or who you have around you still, because you feel a loyalty to a lot of people that were like, don't forget about me. Remember this. I think there's just a lot of scenarios, but
Or not even feeling the need to, not wanting or knowing how, or not knowing how is one thing. That's like, okay, there's an awareness there of self, right? But I think with these individuals, there's not an awareness. They're brought up and bred in a certain environment. They have a certain mentality, and that mentality is what keeps them going.
Yeah.
That shift hasn't changed, right? And so I think
Keep those
it's a
lips
matter of
buttered.
that.
Yeah, I feel like Cardi B definitely has something to lose now. She has a huge career, and especially coming off of Love and Hip Hop, where a lot of people are usually washed up and end up on Love and
They
Hip
don't
Hop.
get
They
to where
don't
she's
get-
at.
yes.
They don't get
Exactly.
to
So
where
she
she's
definitely defied odds there. But it's like, you got stuff to lose. You have a child now, you getting, millions of dollars. Why would you want to fight?
You don't
If I'm a
have
millionaire, somebody throw a shoe at me, I'm going to step to the side and keep walking. I ain't fighting nobody. I ain't fighting nobody now. I ain't no millionaire. I ain't trying to do it. So
But
I think
don't
that's
know
the point.
what is it going to take to shift that mentality and get them out of that hood mindset.
It's different dynamics, though. So with being a rapper, part of being a rapper now in this age is that lifestyle. Is gangbanging, is talking about killing people, is doing drugs. Now with the NBA, it's a little different. Most of them, a lot of them just don't got dads. And,
Oh my God.
OMG.
that's pretty much all that is. But with
NFL too.
yeah, NFL too. Athletes in general. Well, black athletes.
Allegedly.
Yes,
Allegedly don't have a lot of followers.
But with rappers though, it's hard to tell them to get out of it because that's what got them where they are. Most of the new rappers, they're all rapping about the same thing. None of them are rapping about anything positive. It's about drugs,
Gold
killing
chains, diamonds,
bitches.
cars.
Right, but those are the narratives that are pushed. There are plenty of other artists and
That's
plenty of
why they
other
do it, though.
rappers, right?
Of course.
That have different messages. We're talking about the Black Stars, the Commons, the Talib Kweli's, and there are other current
They're all
day
like 50.
artists. Right, but there are current day artists that are also of a different mindset and of a different type of narrative. But those are not the people that we celebrate. We celebrate the petty. We celebrate, and no, you know, this is all love, brother. But we celebrate, you know, all of those things, and then, you know, blacks, minorities end up wanting to be of that because that is the thing that we look toward, right? Those are our role models.
I mean, we
Well,
were
it's-
just
it's
saying,
what sells more
yeah, and then
records.
you
It's
know,
what we
if you
wanna
notice
hear.
how
Yeah.
rap
Money.
and
I don't
music,
wanna hear it.
yeah,
It's a
like
business.
rap and music, you know, how music has evolved in such a different format and way. We, Chiquita and I were on a drive. We were going to Palm Springs for her amazing award show. Anyways, so we're listening to some Pandora. I put on some old school R&B, and we were laughing, and we were actually talking about this, like how music. We don't even have good R&B.
No. We
not
don't have
even love
feels.
songs. And we
Nope.
were listening to the songs. The guys were basically saying, "I love you." Like, give me a chance.
H-Town,
you know, we
New
were talking,
Edition,
and we're like
all
nowadays.
for One. All
for One, yes.
I mean, like we're like,
I was
if
listening
you
to
got
that
married today, you don't even as this
Jagged Edge.
you don't even have a song to walk down the aisle to unless it's like, bitch, drop it hot and drop it on my dick. You know, that's
oh my gosh.
Hey,
Might gonna drop
But you
something.
know what I'm saying? Unless you but that's my point. Like, you know, you don't even, we were talking about that. We're like, do you listen to these lyrics right now as a woman or as a girl? You know, you're young in the 90s. You're like, oh man, the guy's going to love me. Nowadays, it's like just basically, but there's just no respect.
There's no, like, romance.
No
Yeah.
romance.
Yeah.
No nothing.
There's still romance, but it's just not pushed. It's like underground artists. that
Yeah,
do
well,
something.
that's my point.
Yeah.
It's underground.
Yeah.
Like we're,
Not
you know,
mainstream.
everybody. I have clients. Everybody getting married. I was like, oh, who you
What's your
walking?
song? Yeah.
What's your song? Ed Sheeran. Like, get out of here.
Oh,
Like,
that fucking song. If I hear that song one more
yeah,
time.
Ed Sheeran. I'm like, are you
Oh my
serious?
God.
We don't have any. And we were thinking about it. We're like, damn, today you really don't have. Well, back in the day, you had 50 million different ones. Love and romance is just not pushed. But again, that's where, you know, it goes into the Me Too movement. You know, and all of
Bill
this.
Cosby, Kavanaugh, you know, all
Yeah.
that. What do y'all think?
As
Oh,
men,
okay.
as
I mean,
men,
yeah.
let's keep it as
And
men.
Weinstein.
And what is
Go
going
ahead.
on right now with women and the rape culture?
She's mad.
You know, the rape culture. This whole theme. I mean, what are your thoughts? We already know our thoughts. What are your thoughts?
I mean, I feel, you know, obviously wrong is wrong, man. If a female says no and you continue to go, you're wrong off top. Now, these people in position of power, the Me Too movement is great because it you know, condemns those who are doing so. Even if it's years ago, they're still paying for the repercussions, like Bill Cosby, obviously. I do hate to see people come out with false allegations because that's going to tarnish a man's reputation.
going too far.
And it's really like no way to go back because you're already guilty in the court of public opinion. So if someone comes out and alleges that someone did something and you go to court and they prove that you didn't do anything, when you walk in a room, people still gonna be like, "Oof, that's that one dude that
You're
you know."
you're tarnished.
Exactly.
By that, and you're tainted.
So when that happens, it's like, damn, how can you get that back? You can't. But I do feel bad for all the women who have gone through issues, and it's great to see them be able to bring it up and actually, you know, face those battles.
Yeah, right now they're saying it's a bad time to be a man. No, it's really a bad time to be a woman. Let's keep that 100. It's always been a bad time to be a woman until you can actually progress. And I do agree. I think there are some women out there, and there have been women out there who have falsely accused and have caused a problem. Like at the end of the day, out of revenge and anger and all of these other things. But right now, like we're saying, we're seeing all of these, Bill Cosby is the only one, mind you, that's been convicted, all of this other stuff, but all these other rich white men, I hate to say it, have not, they're on trial, or, here we go, the whole Kavanaugh thing. He's like sitting there in front of all these people and he's acting erratic and like a total lunatic, acting a fool, but he's what is he? He's passionate and he's fighting for his right. But here comes a woman who says her thing and she's upset and mad. She's emotional. She's all up in her feelings. Yeah. Like, where does all of this go? And that whereas, music, TV, all of these things that are influencing, as much as we say they don't, but they do. Where does this all lead up to? Like, I'm upset. Like at the end of the day, if Bill Cosby did what he did, he deserves. But if you're gonna do this man, you better do every other damn man.
So one question: does it make a difference that Bill Cosby said, "Yes, I did put Quaaludes in women's drinks"? And I'm not sure about all the other men. I haven't heard them admit to. Well, some have.
Yes, even if they haven't, even if they said no, I haven't. There's evidence that they have.
Like empirical,
45 right now. There was mad evidence of him doing all kinds of shit recorded in 45, because I don't call him by his name. Number 45. Yeah, mad evidence. Trump. Yes. Alleged. There's mad evidence, and he sat there and said he didn't admit, it's lies, is this, and still. Yes, Bill Cosby, at the end of the day, he admitted to it. A lot of men won't admit, but he did. It is what it is. But if you have multiple, no, I shouldn't even put quotes, but there's multiple women who are accusing and have the same story, the same way Bill Cosby had all these women accusing and the same story, but now you're talking about you're ruining a man's life. There's a problem. This is why a lot of times women don't come out and say anything. And as men, you have to know, and even as women, know somebody who's been victimized some way or another. You might not know right off, but I bet you either a mom, a sister, a cousin, an aunt, a coworker, anybody, somebody's been victimized in some way or another with this whole thing. So now that we're allowing these men in power, and now we're accusing women of lying, where do we go from here as men? How do you stand? Like, because I know as women, when it comes to our men, a lot of times we stand by your side and we support and we rally by you. But how, as men, are you standing by our side and rallying by us with this situation that's going on?
What would be more productive to me at this point would say, how do we find a healthy medium on both sides? Because honestly, I feel like for as much as a woman could say, and of course, like, I'm not taking anything away from how many women get sexually assaulted and how hard it is for women, but where's the fine line between, okay, now are these women just coming forward because
truth and facts,
you
false
feel me?
Facts and
it's
what's true and what's
things
not.
Are becoming very blurred now, and I'm not saying anything like women are lying, but some women are. So you never really know for sure.
But here's the
it's
problem.
It's hard to know for sure.
Is that a woman's claim, right? The validity of her claim is always something that's in question, not only by men, but by other women.
Public.
Right. Mm-hmm. And I think we have to start with our education of our men, because just like you said, our media in every form, the way our society is geared, right? It teaches men that they have a privilege to a woman's body. Women are also taught that they have to display themselves in a certain way to what be appealing to the opposite sex. So the way our society itself is governed, it works against women. And so now when we have this movement, we see that, some men are being brought to light. Their actions are being brought to light. It stirs up a lot of feelings, right? But it's really forcing us to shift our perception of sexuality, of sexual behavior, especially on a man's part, and really confront some things that we haven't confronted in a long time. So,
well, first things first.
What?
Bill Cosby and Harvey Weinstein definitely did all that shit.
Yeah,
because
they
they
do.
are two ugly motherfuckers. And unless they could do that, they would have never gotten laid. Weinstein is he's the rule, not the exception, which I think a lot of people don't understand in Hollywood. Is a lot. He was doing what all the other studio execs were doing, because
Absolutely.
that's they have access to everything that these up and coming actresses and lower level females
It's
and women
power.
want
Yeah.
and need to move further in their career, and that's absolutely unfair. I agree that there does need to be education, but at the same time, there needs to be some kind of one sheet of what's true, what's not, due process, because then the lines are so blurred that just because a woman screams rape, you believe her, right?
But they don't.
But
don't.
they,
That's the
I'm not saying that
problem.
they do, but I'm saying when it does happen, there has to be some kind of process that
I mean,
applies.
but here's another thing. There was that guy from, I believe it was at Stanford, that white kid who raped that chick who was unconscious and he was caught.
Yeah, that was wild.
That's wild. Like,
But that's
he
wrong,
didn't- Yeah,
right.
absolutely.
Right.
But here's my point. Either way, it doesn't matter if it's blatantly in your face and we see it and it's known and it's wrong, and all of a sudden we're just like, oh, it's a boys club thing, a due passage, things
Right.
happen. We can't ruin lives, but we can go ahead and ruin women's lives. This is why women don't come out.
Exactly.
So this
But
is
I'm not saying I
no,
disagree.
I
Right.
agree. But I'm just saying this is why a lot of women don't come out, because even if it is true,
a lot of people don't believe you.
it doesn't matter. Why should, if I say to you, this is where another thing is, men.
We have trials.
That's why we have
rape kids.
Yeah, we have all these
but it's
things
like
that
in
are-
favor of men's lives possibly being ruined.
No, but here's the thing: there is a due process. If a girl
Right.
is lying now, we're in a day and age where we have DNA, we have all these things that you can expert. Back in the day, no, we did. There was a lot of men who went into jail for lies and crimes that women were doing. But nowadays, there is a time that there is ways to figure it out if it's true or not true.
Right.
So,
and
But even
wait, even with that, you just said back in the days, we didn't have XYZ. There were only certain women whose rights and who people
Absolutely.
really were concerned with, and
Was
those were
white
white
women.
I was
women.
going to say you're
Yeah,
trying
Okay,
to say white
minority
people.
women,
Yeah.
it didn't matter what atrocities and what crimes were committed against them, and that is still prevalent in our
I was
culture
going to say
today.
that hasn't changed.
Right.
That's still the same.
Right.
Yeah.
Sure, for sure.
And so women have always had a hard time when it comes to this. So once again, the reason why these women have taken as long as they have is because of the fact that they know everything is stacked up against them. So I don't see it as, okay, well, yeah, there will be some that lie, but I don't see it as something that really is against the man in this situation at all.
Men need to stop
At
touching
all?
things that.
No.
Go on.
Of course, men do. We talked about this.
Yeah.
Men do need to stop seeing women in just an objectifying way,
Sexual.
Sure.
Right.
just titties, and because some men do.
Example.
TNA.
Yeah.
Some men just see women as ass and titties.
Right.
Yeah, and I think social media doesn't help that cause.
No.
It definitely pushes forward that narrative. But when it comes to claims on whether it's rape or John stole this or anything like violence or whatever, any type of claims that are put out there, I think for the social aspect, we should all sit back and be like, all right, well, what are the facts? Like
Question
we said.
it.
Yes, because
But
even
we
if you look,
do.
even if you look back when
Not all the time.
Trayvon Martin was killed, someone asked Kobe like, "Oh, why aren't you wearing your hoodie like all the other athletes to stand up for Trayvon Martin?" And the first thing Kobe said, "Well, I want to hear all the facts of the case first before I make my judgment on what I want to do."
Which
and
is
then
a fair assessment.
Exactly.
Right.
And he got condemned for that. They were like, "Oh, Kobe out here, on the side of Zimmerman." It's like, no, I want to see what the facts are first, and then move
Make
forward
my
with
decision from that.
Exactly.
like-
So even with the rape situation, I don't think anybody has been in favor of these women being touched like that, socially. No, don't do that. But I think it is fair to say, all right, let's see what the facts are. All right, he did it. All right, well, fuck him then.
And nobody's disagreeing with you on that front.
Yeah.
There should be investigation. I think that's with any kind of claim. But once again, when women step forward, or anyone, how about this? Even when men step forward, if there's an allegation, especially against someone who is in a position of power, it automatically, the public's favor is usually slanted toward
The person
the
in power.
victim being exactly the person that's responsible for the crime.
My issue is with the public's perception whenever any allegations are thrown out there. That's my issue, is that as soon as the allegations are out
People
there,
jump
we're
to
picking sides
conclusions.
right
People
away.
hate Kavanaugh.
When a side should be
Right.
picked once the facts of the case come out. That's what I feel.
Right.
You shouldn't hate Kavanaugh right now. You don't know what he did for sure or not.
That was a very unique
Because Blasey was
situation,
lying too.
I feel like there was a lot of dishonesty on both sides.
Both sides.
But on top of that, and I'll ask everyone here, do you think it's fair that they're bringing something from his college years? So
This is high school.
Absolutely.
wasn't it?
Politician.
No, it was high
And
school.
for the
college.
right.
Here's the
It's
thing.
college.
Here's the thing. If we're gonna do that, they do it to us all the damn time. It doesn't matter. The minute you get into that public figure, the minute you get into, they start scraping and pulling out shit that you did when you were young and the whole thing. Yeah, you're young. We make mistakes, but they hold white men at a different standard than they do a man of
Absolutely.
color. So if you're going to start pulling up dirt on black men, you better believe it. They're going to start pulling up dirt on white men. Now, if you're going to sit there and say, hey, once you pass, it's done, whatever. Sure. I mean, let's keep it 100. Let's put it this way. If Obama had done any of these things,
He would have been crucified.
Yeah, absolutely. They were digging any little thing. So if we're going to hold this at a standard, then you better hold it on a standard all the way across. So for people to say it's not fair that's bullshit. Yeah, you put yourself in that position, they're going to start pulling it out. You better damn well believe that you better be able to take it, and you better make sure your shit is super clean, because if not, then you don't need to be in that kind of position. Unfortunately, in a day and age where you're not allowed to make mistakes.
Well,
You-
it's
or-
well,
or-
no,
if
it's
you're
a
white
position
and you're
that
rich,
he's
you're
in.
allowed to
allowed to
make
make
all the
mis-
mistakes that you want as
Yeah,
long as
that-
you have the
yeah.
power and money to
I
cover
think
them
it's
up,
okay.
right?
I think it's okay.
On that note,
Yeah, you can. You're not allowed to make mistakes nowadays. It's on social media.
yeah, no, that's true. That's true. Well, what do you guys think on our last hot topic of what's been going on in the news, voting and all the voting suppression, especially
midterms.
over midterms and everything coming up? What do you think?
I personally feel like brands, celebrities should stay out of it. They should let the voters decide on them for themselves. I don't like to be bombarded, especially with things on Instagram from like Nike, Adidas, Taylor Swift's little white ass, telling me that I need to go out and vote for who they want me to vote for. I don't think that's fair. But you should absolutely go vote 1,000%. I do think these midterms are going to dictate a lot of what's going to happen in the months and years to come. So yeah.
The reason why I think all of these celebrities and brands are getting involved, of course, they have their people
Own
that
agendas. Yeah.
their own agendas associated with it. But we don't understand the power that a vote has, bottom line.
Right.
And the youth period, we make up more numbers than the people who their rights get looked after, right? So older voters, they go out and they vote. So, politicians really, they appeal to them, right? Laws are made in efforts to really put at
Protect
ease. Right.
Well, as you get
this
older,
group
you
of
understand
people.
laws more. When
Right.
you're young, you don't know what the fuck is going on.
But a lot of young people, we have so much at our fingertips to educate us, to help us to understand who it is that we're voting for. So I agree. Don't tell me, okay, that's your opinion. You want to vote for this person, but please get out and vote, because we make up 14% of this population. We have so much power, but not many of us really own that right? So that's my big thing about voting, because I know a lot of people that aren't going to be voting that are millennials, and yeah, it's hurting. It's upsetting to me.
Oh,
Because it's
You
more
really
than
not?
a right.
I've never voted.
oh,
What?
How old are you, if you don't mind me asking?
I'm 27.
Right,
Wow.
millennial. So
Wow.
They need
okay.
to let voting happen on Instagram, and then everybody
We
would vote.
right?
You think so?
For real? Yeah,
Absolutely.
absolutely.
I wouldn't vote regardless.
why?
I just don't. Maybe I should vote for like these type of elections, but for a presidential election, I don't believe it matters.
Wow, that's
It's because of the
that's
electoral
good.
college.
Yeah, isn't like
Yeah.
like when we vote for presidents, isn't that usually like the popularity vote for the most part?
No, we
As
are
opposed-
the popularity vote doesn't matter.
No, I'm talking about
For
that's
the-
where our vote goes towards, because then it's the electoral college who vote everything
Yeah,
else.
they vote for the president.
Decide.
So
So the popular vote always matters.
It does.
not for
Yes, the electoral college is something that is different. That's something that we need to revisit and reform, because the electoral college steps in because of they felt like certain demographics weren't being represented accurately or fairly, right? Because of their populace. They didn't want
like
the
Rhode Island.
right. There were certain places that they felt like, okay, well, no, boop boop boop. But at the end of the day, if you did actually vote, because once again, you're casting your ballot, you're putting in your voice, and there were more of that, the electoral college would have no choice but to sway according to the actual populace, what's happening in that area, right? And I think not a lot of people, we talk about what we want, but if we don't cast our ballot, that's only the first step. There's so many things involved in the process. Then we can't do anything. We can get on social media and talk about our wants and our likes and our XYZs, but if we don't actually act on anything, we're not
Nothing's
doing
gonna
anything.
happen.
But
So if we all vote for one candidate and then the electoral college votes a majority for the other candidate,
What did we actually do?
the other candidate is going to win.
But no, how many people are? Most of the majority of
Like
people.
someone wins a popularity vote, like Trump went, not Trump, but say what's her name, Hillary wins popularity, but Trump wins all the electoral college votes.
It depended
Is he
on
gonna
that
go up?
state, though. It depended on that state, which usually what was a swing
I can
state,
feel John just burning.
right?
a lot of people don't know what's going on behind the scenes. Like, okay, so if I vote for whatever Senate is going to be putting in this vote for the electoral college, I don't
You're
know.
talking about your representative, your
my representative
actual,
for like
okay.
California. I don't know why he's voting for whatever presidential candidate he's voting for, because all these senators, they're all paid by lobbyists for some type of agenda or some
All of it
corporation.
comes down to money.
So yeah, all of it's about money. I personally feel like, regardless of who's elected, I'm gonna do what I want. It's my responsibility to do what I need to do to better myself and then better the people around me and better my community. I don't put my onus on like anyone else.
But here's the thing. So, what do you care about? You care about your wages? Is that something you care about? You care about maybe fairness in your workplace and
There'll never
just
be
opportunity?
fairness.
Well, to some degree, we don't have it like,
It's gotten better.
our ancestors did, let's say, right? We don't have it that bad.
Yeah, but I mean,
And the reason why we can sit here like we are today and have the same opportunities, we have the civil rights movement itself. One of the reasons why we can have all that is because of voter rights, is because we now have an actual voice. And that's what it means. Because we vote and then we have a representative. That's why it's our right to know about, and our responsibility to know about our aldermen, to know about the people that are representing us, because we can appeal to those people so that we can get our thoughts and our concerns really, really put out there. We need legislation made for us.
do you feel that it is? Or do you,
I feel like it's a
do you
work
feel
in
like they're really
progress.
taking our concerns into play, or is it just how much money they're getting? I feel like I
All
don't
of it
know.
comes down to money, right? But it could go either way, right? It could go either way. But once again, if you don't do anything, that's saying to them, well, they don't care anyway. That's the reason why, minorities, we don't have the same type of power. You have the LGBTQ community. There was a lot of legislation passed when the Obama administration was there in place. But it was passed for a reason, because not only do they have the support, they're getting out and they're voting, but they also have the people representing them. They also have
And
the money.
vouching
They
for
have the
them.
capital.
Vouching, yeah.
They have a lot going for them to get that legislation in place. They have a lot of programs that are now in place for youth and all kinds of things, sexual health, because they act. We don't act because we're under the misconception that we don't have a voice. And that's the problem. Yeah. So voting is like, it's integral.
Yeah.
I completely understand where you're coming from, that you kind of don't believe in it. But I will say,
on like the federal presidential level.
yes.
Like, I didn't disagree with anything you said.
No, I completely
never-
agree with you 1,000%. What I'm saying is, for me personally, I was the same way. But as you become a little more successful, and then a little more successful, and then a little more, you start climbing that ladder, then you start to unlock the reasons why that shit is important.
It wasn't
Absolutely.
until I got my own business. This was 3 years ago.
And then you really get an
Really
understanding of how it
understood.
all works and why
Really
it's important.
understood,
Right.
because when I was younger, and I always voted, but the way I voted shifted every time I went to go put my vote in. Because before, I was just voting because initially my family was traditionally Democratic, or actually it started off Republican and whatever. Point is,
Don't go down that road.
Point is, 'cause that's a whole historic
That's a
thing.
whole nother thing.
But it's a matter of understanding, and it's a matter of owning, once again, who you are and what it is that this all means. And I think that it will change as you change and as you grow.
Absolutely.
It's always changing.
Always changing. So with that said, you guys, our time has come.
No.
Yeah, I know. This has been amazing, and it's been so refreshing to get some a good little table talk. We'll definitely have to do it again. We're gonna have to get into more crazy, a little bit more depth, but it was very good. We loved having you guys here. It was so very
Thanks for having
informative.
us.
Like, yes, it was very informative. It's great to keep open talk. I think this is really important for us to be able to talk and express our opinions and our views, because that's the only way change and things can happen is when we can express ourselves. So again, thank each and every one of you for coming out.
guys.
And again, we will have all of our lovely guests information on our Instagram website, all of that, so you can check them out. You could check out Tiffany at Tiffany Ray Salon. Well, why don't you listen? I'm like, why don't you all talk about yourself? I'm acting like I'm
It's
there,
all
like
the
the
shameless
management.
plugs.
Yeah, like, well, why don't you all
Plug
say
yourself.
about yourself?
Oh, okay. You can check me out at Style by Tiffany. My website, www.tiffany-renee.com, RENEE. Thank you.
You see, and I said it all wrong, so that's why y'all need to say it yourselves.
You can follow me at Brian M. Rivers. That's Brian with a Y. And check out our podcast, The Mean Podcast, on iTunes, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Google Play, almost on every platform, pretty much. And follow us at The Mean Network on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook as well. We drop new episodes every Wednesday.
Awesome.
I'm just gonna echo what he said. Johnny Kendricks from the Mean Network, co-host of the Mean Podcast. Find us where he said find us.
If you forgot what I said, rewind it back.
Yeah. And also, I'm gonna leave you guys with a question. We just talked about this on our podcast. You guys all think about this. Can you take the power back from a derogatory label or term?
Yes.
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 Yeah.
Yes.
Come on.
Absolutely.
We'll have to talk about that.
Oh, you can find me, Kevin, at yourpettyfriend, yourpettyfriend.com. Come and check it out.
All right. And then, so go ahead, Chiquita. This is your show.
I just want to thank everybody for coming.
Of course.
And just stay tuned for listening, guys. We appreciate y'all.
And
Bye.
you can always find us on.
Well,
hello.
you already said it.
Yeah, I won't
Did I
shameless
say
plug.
it?
Yes.
Oh, I did. Okay, so sorry. Damn, it's a Moscato. All right,
Yeah.
everyone.
Oh my gosh, she's a
So
mess.
I know.
Yeah.
Till the next time.
Bye.
Bye.
Subscribe, rate, and follow us on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, and MoscatoandTea.com. Thanks for listening. Take a little time to enjoy your brand of Moscato and Tea with us every day. Subscribe.